Hey, and welcome to the live show on a Sunday. Just a heads up, couple of things. Next Sunday, we're going to be traveling to California to test drive the new Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid, which is very cool because the Corolla Cross, I think, is going to do very well in the marketplace, especially when the hybrid enters. So that's we're traveling next Sunday. Also on that trip, we're going to be driving the Toyota Prius Prime. That's right, the plug-in version of the Toyota Prius. So that's the first thing. So this is the only live show for a couple of weeks. And then on top of that, we just got back from Atlanta on Friday, and I got one whopper of a head cold. So we'll see how this goes this hour. If I can struggle through, I will. If it gets bad, and do you guys really want to see me blow my nose? I don't think so, but we'll soldier on the best we can. Before we get going, I just want to remind everybody, CarCostCanada.com is a sponsor of the channel. And if you want to find out what the dealer paid for a vehicle, that's where you need to go. Use the promo code MOTORMOUTH, become an expert member, and you can look up what the dealer paid for the car. Okay, so we have some pictures coming up. If you want to get a picture through for the live show, it's Zach at motormouth.ca, ZACK at motormouth.ca, or ZACK at motormouth.ca, and you can get them through. Okay, let's get into our pictures for this week. The first one is, that's rarer than a spotted owl, friends. That's David's 2023 Toyota RAV4 Prime XSE. Now that is a rare one. I mean, try and find a RAV4 hybrid, good luck. Try and find a RAV4 Prime, you're going to need a lot more luck. This one is from Manny. He said he picked up a brand new 2022 Jeep Cherokee X four-wheel drive with the 3.2 liter Pentastar V6, which will no longer be available. They're just sticking with 4 cylinders. Mine includes the safety and towage package. It replaced his 19 Mazda 3 GT front-wheel drive. So there you go. Looks good in black, right? What other pictures do we have here? This one was from Lucas from Chicago. He had his 2017 Volvo S60 got totaled and replaced with a 2019 Ford Fusion Titanium. That's a interesting looking picture. And this one is from Claude Chappelle. Is Gladiator Rubicon that replaced the Silverado 6.2. He says having a stick shift was more important than a V8. Very happy with the 3.6 liter Pentastar and a manual. So that is a very cool truck. If you watch this channel, you know I love having a pickup truck in the family. I don't think I'd go as high end as a Rubicon. I like that little Maverick hybrid. That's the one I want. All right, we already have some super chats that have come in. First, a very generous one here from Scott. Scott, thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's very nice of you. Happy Sunday, Zach, he says. Thoughts on the XC60 Recharge versus the Lexus NX 450h Plus? Thanks. Yeah, the XC60 Recharge is a very nicely designed vehicle. I mean, the one thing you can say about Volvo is the exterior design, the interior design is going to be sort of nicer, in my opinion, than the Lexus. The Lexus is brand new. The Volvo's been in place now for several years. But the Lexus is all new and has the new larger screen, as you know. I'm not a huge fan of the Volvo infotainment system. It's a Google. So there's Android Auto, which is made by Google. And then there's Google Automotive, which is the back-end system that is going to be used by more and more car companies, including BMW soon. So it's going to be interesting to see how they implement that. I'm not totally sold on that Volvo system, but I'm also not totally sold on the Lexus system either. If you're talking just about pure battery range, I think that the Lexus NX 450h Plus is going to be better than the Volvo. And then you get into the price. Both of them are good. I just say that the NX is newer. The Volvo is older technology. And that vehicle, as I mentioned, has been in place for quite a few years. Here's another super chat from James. Thank you very much. 1 box of super premium Kleenex. Well, thank you very much. You know, you can go super clean. You can go with the super premium Kleenex, or you can just go with the Costco toilet paper, which is kind of the way I go. All right, let's go up to the top here and get into some more questions. All right, hey Zach, Sportage PHEV or Outlander PHEV? Well, one thing you have to really decide, gut check first of all, is that you need the third row of seats. I mean, the Outlander has a standard third row of seats. Now, it's the kind of seat you'd want to put somebody in if you didn't like them. They're just for little kids to take on occasion to a sporting event or an activity, something like that. It's a seat of convenience for the occasion where you need to take an extra kid and have a proper seatbelt. So if it's just 2-row, 5 passengers, they're both excellent choices. The Outlander has a heat pump. The the Sportage and the Tucson do not. So that's something to consider. You have more range also with the Outlander. And the one thing I like about the Outlander is when you put it in the power setting, the vehicle really can be, you know, it's one of the better PHEVs I've driven, kind of dynamic to drive. Which one can you get? That's the other one. Is I'm not sure on the availability right now. If Mitsubishi's brought in a bunch, I haven't seen a lot on the road, but both are good choices. I think honestly, when it comes down to these things, it's often the one you can get. Calgary Toyota dealers are adding 9,000 in accessories to the RAV4 hybrid that are arriving. It seems widespread. Is that happening in BC? Makes the wait list a waste of time. Well, if you look at the rules around the dealer regulatory bodies, they have to stand by their posted price. So what you'll see is they don't in any of their advertising put what the MSRP is. They put in their dealer price. And the dealer price will often include all kinds of different things, like they might put ceramic coating, which for a regular car might be $1,000 or $1,500. They'll mark it up to like $3,000 or $4,000. They'll put on a roof rack and a wind deflector on the front. And to your point, they jack the price way up to about $9,000. That is allowed, just so long as they don't advertise the regular MSRP. If they're doing any advertising anywhere, it has to be the price that they're going to sell the vehicle for. That's the loophole. And I just think that karma's a bitch, and some of these guys, you know, but car dealers are car dealers. They do all this kind of stuff all the time, and it's just not cool. We're hearing a lot of complaints. Not mostly. We're hearing more complaints out of Alberta than other places. So that's that cowboy mentality that certainly seems to be showing up. I don't. You know, my answer to this: don't reward them with that. Just don't buy the car. Here's Stuart Jack with another super chat. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. You guys were very generous last week. All the super chats, I was blown away. Sanjeev is back. Not first this time, but pretty close. Hi, Zach. How are you? Great video. I'm looking to buy a 2023 Camry Hybrid XLE or 2023 Hyundai Elantra Limited Hybrid. Give me your ideas. Well, one is in the compact class. That's the Hyundai. And the Camry is a larger vehicle. So you're just going to naturally have more space. You're going to have a nicer ride. It's a heavier vehicle. The Camry is due to be updated. I believe this year is the 40th anniversary of Camry. So if you're not in a rush and you're thinking about buying a Camry, you might want to wait. There could be something coming from Toyota to showcase what they're going to do for the upcoming Camry. If you think about it, Honda just updated the Accord, right? And Camry is its #1 rival. So if you're not in a rush, it would be good to wait and see what Toyota does with that. Both are fine choices. I'd probably lean towards the Toyota. Also asking, do you know if Mazda's coming out with lane centering system? I don't know about that. I'll have to ask them next time I see them. 401 Sloth. Hey, Zach and Andrew, I love the show. I do about 5 to 6,000 kilometers a month for work, and I need to replace my old car soon. 460,000 kilometers. Wow, that's a lot of miles or kilometers. I value fuel economy, reliability, and safety while still having fun behind the wheel. Are there three which you would choose? Kia Forte GT, Mazda 3 2.5, and the Volkswagen Jetta 2.5 Turbo. Well, if I was going to put my money on the one for the best fuel economy, we are getting amazing reports from people about the Jetta with the 2.5 liter, sorry, make that with the 1.5 liter engine, returning highway fuel economy on par with what you would get with a hybrid vehicle. So that's something to consider. The Jetta is a fairly large car as well, functional and simple on the inside. I'm not sure if you're going to get almost 500,000 kilometers out of one, but if you're looking for fuel economy, that one I know from people who have bought it are reporting back to us that they're getting incredible fuel economy. So that's definitely one to consider. That's all I can tell you about that one. All right, we have a few more. Here's Jack Chang with a super chat. Thank you, Jack. Appreciate it. He's got a watch question. Omega Seamaster or Rolex Explorer 2? Well, I do get asked about watches because what am I wearing today? I'm wearing a Tudor Aeronaut. This is a rare watch from around 2010. This dial is really quite rare. I do get questions about watches, and I think that it's funny. We were at the airport in Toronto. This is a roundabout story. I'll get back to your question in a moment. We were coming back from Atlanta on Friday, and we're in the Air Canada lounge, and the fellow across from me recognized me, didn't know from where. He says, I recognize your face, but I don't know from where. And I said, oh, you know, from TV and all the different things I've done. He goes, oh, okay, it makes sense now. Then I got around to what he does, and he is a watch dealer in St. John's, Newfoundland. Then we got going on about Newfoundland, how much I love Newfoundland. Anyway, he's got the largest watch retailer in St. John's, and we were talking about Rolex and Omega, and they've lost their Rolex dealership as Rolex is trying to consolidate just around the bigger markets, and they sell a lot of Omega, and he was wearing an Omega Planet Ocean. And we were talking about the evolution of Rolex and how Rolex has become this kind of commodity, and it's also kind of a status symbol of new money, and older watch collectors are kind of not really into the brand as much as they used to be. That's what he's saying. That's what I feel like. And but I get it. To your point, is if you've never owned a Rolex, it's kind of it's the itch you got to scratch, right? So if you own other luxury watches, then I would say maybe consider the Omega. But if you've never owned a luxury watch before, a Rolex is a great first watch because when you've done it, and you don't have to do it again. Then you can move on to Omega. Then you can move on to, you know, JLC or something else. But that's my advice. If you don't have one, that's probably a first great way to start. And that's the way it was for me. Okay, back up to the top again we go. Vanit, how would you rank Jeep Grand Cherokee L in the current market versus the MDX Q7 and Telluride? That's a good question. It's really quite big. I mean, when you get inside it, just out of memory, it is the biggest of the three. It's also new in the marketplace, and the one thing I would sort of not encourage is buying a first or even a second year of a vehicle from a domestic brand like Stellantis. There's no guarantees for any brand, but when you get into some brands like Toyota and Lexus, you got a better shot. So I like the Grand Cherokee. Of the other ones you mentioned there, the easy answer is Telluride. It has been an absolute home run for Kia. You can't get one. But the Grand Cherokee is very big. So if you're looking for the biggest, that's probably going to be the one you want. Okay. We have another super chat. Thank you very much. That's very nice of you. I don't see a question here, but we'll take the super chat. You guys are being very kind again. Okay. KPKP. I read that the Cadillac Lyriq wins J.D. Power 2023 Canadian ALG Residual Value Award. Isn't this car too new, and how do these awards work? What's your take on the Lyriq? Okay, well, this is an interesting question. We used to often on media events have somebody from ALG. That's a company that helps car companies provide residual value for their products. And what does that mean for you and for me? If you go in and you want to buy, or sorry, if you want to go in and lease a vehicle, any car, and they say, okay, what's the value of that car after 4 years? The car company, along with one of these suppliers that helps them figure out the values, like ALG, will sit down and they'll look at the competitive market and they'll look at what the brand's been doing overall and the way they've been maintaining their fleets, and they will give them guidance on what they think the car will be worth after 4 years. So that's how they can write a lease, and they'll say that after 4 years, this vehicle will have 53% of its value. Okay, so obviously what ALG has done with the Lyriq is they've gone through the vehicle and they've looked at obviously the competitive set, and they believe that at the end of 3, 4, or 5 years, they believe that the Cadillac Lyriq will have the highest residual value in its competitive set. So this is a company that does this professionally, and they provide this information for brands, and that's how brands help set their residual value. They do their own, and they also count on these outside sources. Okay. We have yet another super chat. Thank you very much. 2022 Genesis GV70 3.5 Sport Prestige for $53,000. I'm not sure if you're in Canada, United States. That sounds like a good deal if it's in Canada. In the United States, I would have to check the market. But, you know, this is easy to look up. All you need to do is go on something like an Auto Trader and see what other vehicles of the same type are selling for. And there's even tools on there to see, you know, if is it above average, below average, a fair price, all that kind of stuff. So I don't have that ability to look that up right now, but that's my best advice, is to look and see, you know, what the market is asking for them. Also remember that that's the asking price, doesn't mean the actual transaction price. So things have, things definitely don't always line up, okay? What they ask and what they get are two different things. Typically, in the old days, it would be less, but with the supply chain problems and lack of inventory, often they're getting what they're asking for it. Here's another super chat. Hi, Zach. Where are all the full-size PHEV SUVs and pickup trucks? Can you imagine if GM pulled out a PHEV Tahoe with a 3-liter diesel engine? Yeah, it'd be kind of neat. With a 30 or 40 kilowatt-hour battery, they would sell out for years. I agree. I don't know. I mean, you do have on the Ford side, you can, in the Explorer anyway, get a hybrid vehicle. General Motors used to have full-size trucks that were hybrid, and it was actually a joint venture with Chrysler. You remember the Aspen, the Dodge Aspen? That was a joint venture with General Motors, and so they would use that hybrid technology in their full-size trucks. Now, this is about 10 years ago, maybe even a little bit longer than that, but you're right. If there was a plug-in version, it would be pretty cool. It's nice to see, like, you see what Ford's done. Ford has their F-150 and their F-Series of trucks. Then they have their hybrid, which is the twin turbo with a hybridized system. And then you have the ability to go full electric with the Lightning. If you think about it, everybody is just kind of following what they're doing. And, you know, we're still waiting for the real Chevrolet electric full-size truck to hit the roads, apparently sometime this year or next. And then we have the Stellantis truck coming later. I don't know with this race for electric or nothing if it's the right fit for everybody, because to your point, I think that would be great if many people could do inner city travel just on pure electric and then have the range that they need, especially with something like a diesel. It's a good idea, but and you know what, that would be really the only place it would work, because they're the ones that have diesel already in play, right? So the inline 6-cylinder diesel that's available, the Duramax engine in the full-size trucks, really is a fantastic engine. And if I was buying a full-size truck, that's the one I'd want, but I'm a diesel fan. They're expensive though. Their diesel trucks are not cheap. Okay, but thank you for the super chat. If you're just joining in now, we're coming back from Atlanta, and I got a bad head cold, so I'm on the meds. I'm stuffed up, and have the Kleenex ready. You don't want to see that, but I might have to blow my nose at some time, so apologize if I have to do that. I'm going to hold off as long as I can. We have another super chat here. 6 or 7 seat car in Canadian dollars, best value for money in $40,000 to $50,000 range. Okay, so you'd have to sort of give me a little more detail on what size of vehicle. If you're looking at a 6 or 7 seat car, do you really mean car, or do you mean SUV? So if I was going with a car, if you wanted to have a larger, like a back to the Camry from a moment ago, if you're wanting a mid-sized car that you could get even as a hybrid, a Camry would be definitely one to consider. I just want to get clarification. Just type below. You don't have to do another super chat. Are you talking car or are you talking SUV? Because there were no 7-passenger cars. Another super chat from Level 70. Hi, Zach. Just bought a 2023 Honda HR-V Sport. The dealership is pushing me to buy an extended warranty. They said modern cars are very expensive to repair. The CVT could fail, etc. That's really reassuring from your dealer. Any thoughts? It's $2,300 Canadian for 7 years. Okay, so your car is brand new, and it comes with a full warranty. That's 3 years, and if it's in the Canadian market, yeah, it's Canadian dollars. It's 3 years, and you don't have to worry. The car is under warranty. You do not have to buy the warranty now. You're buying warranty on warranty. This is a sales tactic from the dealer. So mark, when you got the car, say it was March 1st, 2023, and then as you're getting close to March 1st of 2026, when the car's coming out of its 3-year warranty, then you can get from the dealer or somewhere else an extended warranty. You do not need to buy it now because the car is under warranty for 3 years. So buy an extended warranty at the end of its regular warranty. This is a sales tactic from the dealer to get your money, because they're selling you something that you already have. You already have 3 years of warranty. And one of the reasons I say to delay it until the regular warranty is coming to an end is because life happens. Things change. You might not like the car and want to get rid of it after a couple of years. If you're a young person, you might get married and need a bigger vehicle because you're starting a family, or maybe you're downsizing, or maybe you lose some mobility. I don't know what. Life happens. So prepaying for something, don't wait until the car, you want to do it before the regular warranty one runs out, but you don't have to do it right now. Okay, so here's the follow-up. It's an SUV, so good thing we clarified. So your original question is best value 6 or 7 seater SUV now that we know for $40,000 to $50,000. Okay, so at the $50,000 mark, you're kind of in the mid-sized 3-row SUV space. The best value, I think, is the Subaru Ascent. It has quite a bit of room, and you can definitely get one for under the $50,000 mark. Now, some people don't like the fact that it's a 4-cylinder turbo, and it hasn't been as reliable as other Subaru products, but that's one you could certainly get. You could get some, in the Canadian market, some sort of base models of vehicles like the Highlander. You could, just under $50,000, get like a Telluride or a Palisade would be excellent choices. So shop around. For a 7-passenger, you're kind of pushing it at the $50,000 mark. Unless you wanted to get like, you could get a Volkswagen Tiguan that has the optional 3rd-row seat for about $800, and that's just a little fold-up seat that you would put just kids in if you needed that extra seat to go on some road trips. Another one, oh, I just thought of this one. This one actually you could get for under that price is the Kia Sorento. The Kia Sorento is a kind of in-between size. So yes, it is available with 6 passenger or 7 passenger. So Kia Sorento is my answer. I finally got there. It's hard to remember the pricing in your head when you go through these off the top of your head. We have another super chat. Thank you very much, guys. You spoiled me so much last week. It seems like you're doing it again. If you're just tuning in now, I just said it at the very beginning. There will not be a live show next week. Next week, we are on the road to California for a Toyota event, and we actually are traveling on Sunday, so we won't be able to do it on Sunday. Should be fine the following week, but just to let you know, okay? And we have just under 400 people on board right now, and 93 thumbs up, just went to 94, and we just went over 400, so there you go. If you guys could smash the thumbs up, it really does help. All right, got to figure out where I was. Here's James. I read the EU will change strict 2025 auto regulations to include biofuels. Thoughts on biofuels in North America? So I think what you're referring to is the 2035. So in the EU, they have said they want to get rid of internal combustion engines by 2035. And there was definitely pushback from the German car manufacturers. And I believe it was Spain or Italy. One of the two southern EU countries was not down for eliminating internal combustion engines. And one of the reasons is that they maybe have, well, we know Porsche does have a biofuel that they're developing. And they think that they're going to be able to replace, gasoline with a biofuel for vehicles like, say, a 911. Real sports cars to have that sound and to go on the track and do all that kind of stuff. So there are works in place to replace regular fuels with biofuels, and the Germans are leading that charge. So this is all negotiations happening with the government or the regulatory body in Europe, in Brussels, to try and push this through. But as I've been saying for many, many years, it's easy to make this proclamation that we're getting rid of internal combustion engines by 2035. It's another thing to actually do it. So we'll have to wait and see, because I bet you as we go along, there will be other jurisdictions that say, wait a second, we're not willing to do this, or we can't do this. KP again. Why isn't Honda following other Japanese automakers and going with all-wheel drive in the Accord? Seems like a shoe-in to compete with the Camry and Altima. Or is it apples and oranges? We don't know what the next plans are for the Accord, so they've just introduced the latest model. By the way, if you've been following along over the last few weeks, I've been griping around Honda really getting slow with getting their cars to us. I have booked in both the Pilot and the Accord, and we're getting them April 10th. We could have got them earlier, but we have some travel coming up. We're going to be away, so that's why we booked them in April, but they are coming. So, whatever the next iteration is for the Accord, it's all just speculation. But you're right. Camry is available with all-wheel drive, and so is Altima. In the Canadian market, Altima is standard with all-wheel drive. The problem is these models just don't sell in the volumes that they used to. So you would think that all-wheel drive would help with sales, but I don't think it really is. If that was the case, Subaru would have been the leader with the Legacy for years, and that is just that car is an also-ran. It's like a model nobody even considers. That might be a car you might be able to get. All right. Okay. 420 people on just now, so thank you for that. We have another super chat from James. Thoughts on Hornet versus CX-30 Turbo. Okay, so we were at the Toronto Auto Show and we ran into the PR rep from Stellantis, and I said, hey, what's the, so what do they call it? They call it the Hornet and the toenail. So the Hornet and the Tonale. The Hornet is the Dodge and the Tonale is the Alfa Romeo. I said, oh, are you going any programs for this? Are you going to be any invites? He goes, oh, we've already sent out the invites. And we're like, well, how come we didn't get an invite? And he said, it's all about reach. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, it's all about reach. Your cars have no reach. We put a video out of a Chrysler. It's got no reach. All right, so if you're not aware, the Hornet and the Tonale are the new subcompact units from Stellantis. So they're based on the same platform, which is a modified version of the old Compass platform, standard with a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder engine and quite a bit of power, a plug-in available, and then you have the Alfa Romeo version of it. So my answer is always the same with these things. We have to wait until we can pass judgment on the car and actually drive it. I have talked to somebody that has driven it and says it's surprisingly pretty good, but we'll have to wait until we see. You know, the pricing of it is really quite high. And it comes with a lot of standard equipment, but the pricing is high. I just don't think that there's a lot of appetite for an expensive car from Stellantis. That's my gut feeling. But we always joke around about the Alfa Romeo. It's not the Tonale, it's the toenail. Okay. Here's Patrick. Subaru Solterra or Hyundai Ioniq 5? Which was the more comfortable? Oh, that's a good question. Now, the comfort is really an individual thing. I will tell you, having driven the Toyota BZ4X or the BZ4X, the new Lexus RZ or RZ, why they do this to us in Canada, I don't know. And then having spent the most seat time in the Solterra, the driving comfort is there in the Toyota, Lexus, Subaru product. The seating position is excellent. The seats are very comfortable. The driving position is great. I really do like the head-up display. Andrew didn't like the look of it, but it is very functional. Comfort is definitely there with that Solterra product. But the Ioniq 5 is a little bit bigger in the back seat. That's for sure. And I believe overall dimensions in the overall capacity of the interior is bigger as well. You're going to have faster charging time with the Ioniq 5. You're going to have more range. I would say more dynamic to drive if you're pushing it. But the Solterra is very, very comfortable. The Solterra, the Toyota, and the Lexus, the three amigos there, are all really best used for people that have the ability to charge every day at home. You're going to wake up with a full tank of fuel, and you don't have to worry about it because the onboard charger is small, the charging time is long, and the range isn't as great. So all of those benefits are really in favor of the Ioniq. But if you're got your car plugged in and it's charging while you're sleeping, what do you care if it's slow? I don't care if it's slow. Like, for example, whenever I'm working on the computer here and I have to render out video that you'll eventually see, I do that when we are having dinner. And if it takes 30 minutes, what do I care? I come back in an hour or so and it's all done. So it's the same thing with charging your car. If you're impatient and I got to get that thing out of the computer in a hurry, and you're like, geez, I'm glad I have the fancier, speedier computer. It's the same thing with an electric car. If quick charging is your thing, then you'd really want to have the Ioniq. All right. Let's go down here. We got more super chats. You guys are being very, very nice to me. I'm going to go to the bottom here. I got to tell you, the reason I'm going slowly is because the last 2 weeks I've missed one on each show, a super chat, which is just bad form, Zach, because someone's paid and then I miss it and I'm just a jerk. But things do happen. Things do happen. It's just me in here. All right. Here's Rich Chapman with a super chat. Just wanted to say thank you for your Ford Maverick hybrid review. I had already decided on it, but your review was very helpful. Your reviews are always spot on. Thanks. Well, that's very nice of you. Oh, you've got my... Who would have ever thought that a little runaround economy front-wheel drive hybrid 4-cylinder pickup truck would be in my heart? But it's in my heart. I want one. I just want one. It's surprisingly quick to drive. It returns amazing fuel economy. It was getting better fuel economy than the posted EPA numbers. It's comfortable. There's a car that's comfortable. Ford does really good seats. I mean, I just love the thing. Another super chat from Level 70. Thank you very much. We know a pure EV range could be reduced by as much as 40% in cold winter temperatures. How are hybrids impacted by cold temperatures? Does fuel economy drop off a cliff? Yes. Fuel economy is not nearly as good in the wintertime. And one of the main reasons is you want to be warm in the cabin, right? So in order to have heat in the cabin, you need to have the gasoline engine working, because most hybrids and plug-in hybrids do not have a heat pump. There are a couple of exceptions. The Toyota RAV4 Prime has a heat pump. The Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV has a heat pump, but almost all of the other ones do not. So as soon as the temperature starts to drop and you need cabin heat, that's when the gasoline engine will come on more often, okay? So yes, you're going to use more electricity. And we've had a bunch of Toyota hybrids recently. Over the last couple of months, we've done a lot of bookings of Toyota and Lexus. Just happened there was a lot of new product coming in, and we've gone back to back to back. And the hybrids in the winter here that we've been experiencing, not being super cold, but definitely cold enough you want the heat on, it shows up. Always, always, always remember, when you're buying a hybrid or you're buying a plug-in hybrid vehicle, you have to look at your overall cost of ownership. People will get one, and they get their hybrid in December, and they're driving around, and they email me and goes, oh my God, I've got this hybrid, and I'm not getting anywhere close to the fuel economy. And I'm like, well, because it's wintertime. Then when the spring comes and the summer comes, you will see, as you go through the lifespan of the vehicle through the year, that the fuel economy will really improve. So you have to average it out. So don't get too fixated on it. Just know that you're averaging down your fuel costs. So the fuel economy is affected for sure in the wintertime. Here's James with another super chat. One last super chat. Single guy, midlife, main vehicle is paid for. It's a sporty CX-30. What would you buy for $50,000? That's a good choice. So you're a single guy, you've got your vehicle paid for, you got $50K to buy a sporty fun car. Well, I'm just going to give you my thoughts on what I would choose. There would be three of them. So we'll go with the smallest, and then we'll get to the biggest. You can get a brand new, go back to Mazda and get Miata. It's just a wonderful, wonderful car. So much fun, manual transmission, fun little vehicle, blast to drive. I think in the Canadian market it's $33,000, $34,000, full warranty, you name it, have at it. That's a hell of a deal. That's choice number one. Choice number two, much harder to find, but you probably would be able to do it if you had the time and the patience, would be a used Boxster or Cayman from Porsche. Find a used one. Full service records, all of that kind of stuff. Now at $50,000, it's going to be an older unit, but hey, it's still a lot of fun. So that's another one. And then number three is a Mustang GT. And you're at $50K, you might be able to get a new one, depending on the options on it. But you do kind of want to get a Mustang GT new, because that's a car that somebody will have driven, you would hope, and had some fun with it. Doesn't mean it's been abused, but it could be. And you'd have to get it inspected. So two things I really want to have on a Mustang GT. That's Ride or magnetic ride control with, and the Sport Pack. I can't remember the packaging. I haven't looked at it in a while, if you have to get one to get the other, but typically that's the way it works. So those are three choices. But you could actually get a brand new MX-5 Miata and have some cash left over for a nice vacation. Brand new. Another super chat. Buy gas or PHEV in each. Sorento buy gas or PHEV in each? Oh, should you buy a gas or a PHEV in each? Sorento versus Outlander 2023. Well, if you can get a PHEV in a Sorento or an Outlander, yeah, do it. The problem is, how much money do you want to spend? They're more expensive. The Sorento is a really good deal in the plug-in hybrid space if you want the 3 rows and so on. Just keep in mind though, the Sorento, if you get the PHEV, does not have a bench seat in the second row. You get 2 seats in the front, 2 seats in the middle, and 2 seats at the back. So it's a 6-seater. If you need to take more than 6 people, or you need to take 3 people in the back and have the full cargo area, then it's going to be the Outlander. Because as soon as you need to take that third person in the Sorento, you got to pop one of those third row seats up, and then you're losing, half, if not more than half, your cargo space. So consider that. The Sorento definitely is the value of the two, but whichever one you could get. As for gas, the same holds true. They're both great choices. Oh my goodness, you guys are like off the charts with the super chats. We have another one here. This one's from Christopher. For a new immigrant in Canada, finance or lease a 35 to 45 compact. Thoughts on CX-5 versus Seltos Sportage versus Tucson for reliability, space, and infotainment. Okay, so the Tucson and the Sportage are the same product for the most part, right? The development, engines, transmissions are similar. The way they're executed is different for each brand. And I would say that, let me look at your price again, 35 to 45. You're going to get a nicely equipped vehicle. The Seltos, if you're not in a rush, is being updated with a new facelifted car. You can just type in 2024 Kia Seltos and you'll see the images of the new updated model. So they did a new front grille, a new rear grille. They've redone the infotainment system, which is important to you. That's in your question. That it's going to be similar to the Kia Sportage and the Hyundai Tucson. So the new updated infotainment screen. And at your price point, at the 35 to 45,000 mark, you can now get the 1.6 liter turbo engine, which is updated with more power. I believe the number is 190 horsepower, and the transmission has been updated from a dual clutch to a new 8-speed automatic, which apparently is smoother and more refined. That's what we heard from one of the product people at Kia. So if you're not in a rush and you don't need the car right now, we're apparently going to be getting a chance to drive it late spring, early summer. So stay tuned for that. The Tucson and the Sportage are both sides of a coin. It's just a slightly different version of the same vehicle. Okay, where was your question again? Thoughts on, okay, and the other one is for space. The Sportage and the Tucson are two of the biggest in this category, so those are big for space. The Seltos is the biggest in its category, so that's good for space. And then the CX-5 is one of the smallest in its category. So if you're looking for space, the CX-5 might not be the one for you. Okay? Here's Jean. 2023 Corolla Cross Hybrid all-wheel drive, available when? We are going to be driving it in a week and a half. Apparently it's going to be available in the dealers just before summer. Okay? So typically when we go on a car launch, the vehicle will be arriving within a month or so, a couple of months. So we'll have more definitive answers for you. In about 2 weeks' time is when our video is allowed to go. I can tell you exactly. Andrea's made a great calendar here. There's so many car trips coming up that she's got a whole calendar here. When is it happening? The Corolla Cross Hybrid video will come out on April 4th. That's when it's coming out. So that's when we'll be able to tell you more about it. Another super chat. You promote Car Cost Canada. The problem is that it's paid site and the dealers don't honor the price. Your take on this membership of Car Cost worth it? Okay, what we're offering here on the channel is you can sign up using the promo code Motormouth, and you get a bunch of searches for free. It doesn't cost you anything. So if you already know, say I want to get an Acura MDX Type S, you know that's the car you want. You can go in there and you can find the information on that car using the promo code Motormouth. And you can get that search for free. Now, if you want to go and do a bunch more searches, then there is a fee for that. They will also, there's a customer number on there and there's a way to connect with them, they can actually put you in touch with a dealer that is open to negotiating with you. It isn't a tool where you're going to get to see the cost of the car. Car Cost Canada, they give you what the car actually costs the dealer. There's no obligation for the dealer to sell you the car at that cost, but it is a tool that you can use when you're negotiating. So just because you found out what the dealer actually paid for the car, they're not obliged to sell it to you for that, but it's great information. So in the last couple of years, with the restrictions of cars availability and supply chains and all of that, there was no haggling or wheeling and dealing. But now that things are starting to change, you could tilt back in your favor, and a dealer might be open to, negotiating with you, and you will know what they actually paid for the car with that. If you have an issue with Car Cost Canada, reach out to them. They're very good at getting back to customers and sorting out any issues you have. That's my best advice. And Car Cost Canada has been with us for many, many, many years, and we have more people saying they've used the service in the past and have been very happy with it. Okay, back up to the top we go. All these super chats, you guys have been blowing me away the last few weeks. Where are we at now? Hey, we're over 500 people on the live show tonight, so that's awesome. Thank you guys for being here and for smashing the thumbs up. We're at over 200 thumbs up right now. And that's all with a head cold for Zach here. You don't want to see me blowing my nose. Oh, here, getting back to the point about, maybe things are changing. This is one that's interesting. I see Hyundai is offering 0% interest for 48 months on many non-hybrid models. Is this a sign of slowing sales? I would say yes. So if you start to see cheap money creeping back onto the table to incentivize you to buy a car, it is an incentive. So people ask me, when will we know when things are starting to change? Well, the first one is you drive by the dealerships and do you see any cars there? Well, that's one way to know. The other one is if you're seeing advertised cheaper money. So if you go to a bank today and you say, I want to buy a $40,000 car, I need a car loan, it's going to be 8, 9, 10%. So if you've got a major brand like Hyundai offering you 48 months of free money at 0% interest, that they don't need to do that if they're selling every car they've got. They need to do that if they're having to move iron. Then on top of that, if there are additional slowdowns in the marketplace, that's when you get dollar incentives in play. So you might get the triple hat trick. You might get 0 or low interest rate, a reduction from the manufacturer in the form of a rebate. And then don't forget, even though the manufacturer is, say, giving you $1,000 or $2,000 off, you can always ask the dealer for what they're going to kick in. So that's the hat trick. Those are the three you would love to get. Cheap money, discount from the manufacturer, discount from the dealer. Then you're in business. But this is a good early sign that things are starting to slow down, and maybe the tide is turning back in the favor of the consumer and away from the dealerships. Have you heard anything about the 2023 Ford Escape PHEV? Looks like there's lots of issues going on with this one. Well, we were talking about this recently. I believe it's one of our Questions, Coffee, and Cars. Actually, Questions, Coffee, and Cars, the one that's coming out on Wednesday or Tuesday. We actually talk about this product. Ford has been improving the quality of the Escape for the last few years, and this one just got a facelift. So I'm not sure if there's any additional issues because they didn't change anything mechanically with it. But I'll look into it. Okay, first of all, I just wanted to give a shout out again to, where were we here? Gotta find it, I just went past it. To Scott Young, who came on strong earlier in the game here with a super chat for $139, and asked the question about the Volvo XC60, but you don't get a super chat like that very often, so that is very nice and definitely worth a shout out again, so thank you for that. Okay, I gotta find where I am here. I apologize, guys. This program is really cool that I can put the questions on the screen, but when I'm doing this live, I got to be able to find the questions to put them on the screen. Okay, here's Paul with his super chat. I'm looking for the RAV4 Prime, but wait time is too long. Would you go for the Outlander PHEV or Sportage PHEV? The one thing you can always do is if you've really got your heart set on a RAV4 Prime, you could get one of the other products. Anything with a plug and anything that's reducing fuel costs right now in light of high inflationary times and fuel prices. And Dan Mateg, the former gas buddy guy who follows the price of fuel, especially in the Canadian market, is speculating that prices are going to go way back up again this summer. So if you've got a vehicle that is good on gas and is a hybrid or a plug-in hybrid, you'd have no problem selling it. And the way the market is right now, selling it for pretty close to what you paid for it. So you could continue to have your deposit on a RAV4 Prime, get one of these other ones, and then when the time comes, trust me, a dealer would be quite happy to take in your trade of another highly efficient vehicle when the opportunity comes. Between the two, which would I get? Well, we talked about it already. The Sportage has a heat pump, and the Outlander has a the Outlander has a heat pump, and the Sportage does not. The Outlander, in my opinion, is a little bit sportier to drive. It has the power button, and it actually is quite engaging. We're hearing some early rumblings about maybe the first batch of cars have had a few issues. We're going to have to wait a little bit longer to see if that resolves itself. But with all things plugs these days, I always say to people, buy the one you can get. And if you can get your hands on an Outlander, great. If you can get your hands on a Tucson, great. And if you're really hard set on a RAV4, I don't think it would be that hard to flip out of one and get into the Toyota when the time comes. The real kick in the nuts would be is if you got one and then they call you a week later. So you want to double, triple, quadruple check with the Toyota dealer to say, is it really way off in Never Never Land, or am I going to get a call in a week? And have that heart-to-heart with them. Here's another super chat. This one is from Silwan. Tucson Trend Package or RAV4 Premium Package. Well, I'm a little bit at a disadvantage because I don't have everything that's in these two vehicles right in front of me. And my memory's good, but it's not that good. What you need to do is you need to go through each item that's available in each package and decide what's important to you and what you might be able to live without. So the other thing you got to remember is these packages are packages on top of already existing trims, right? So is the premium package of the RAV4 on top of the XLE, or is it on top of something else? So unfortunately, I don't know that. But the RAV4 is kind of the gold standard when it comes to, hybrids, especially because there's such a known entity in the marketplace. There's another super chat. Thank you very much. Very generous of you guys. No question for this one, but I appreciate it. Okay, where are we here? What's the time? All right, oh my goodness, we've got a record number of people on here. 521. All right, let's get to some more questions then. All right. Why do manufacturers keep lowering their cars to the ground? When I get into my 16 Civic manual, I almost feel like I'm sitting on the road. I bet you if you looked at the actual numbers of the last gen to this gen Civic, there probably is no difference. It's probably just the seating position in the car. I would say that the trend for the industry as an average is to be lifting cars off the ground, because they've been making them everything into a sort of a quasi crossover vehicle, raise the suspension, put on a sort of an all-terrain looking kind of tire and some cladding. But your point about the Civic is well noted. We have a Honda Civic, and I do notice when we get in it, it sits low to the ground, which is also the charming thing about the Honda Civic, is it does have a very planted, on the ground kind of feel to it. Independent rear suspension. You can toss that thing around in the corners. It's a load of fun to drive, and that's one of the hallmarks of the Civic, is that it is a great handling car. So I'm not sure if it's the case overall, but there you go. Okay. And I didn't blow my nose once. I kind of felt a little tickle, but I didn't have to blow my nose once. When are you going to review the updated Toyota Highlander? Well, I've been in contact with Toyota. So the one you're wanting to find out about is the new 2.4 liter turbo. So yes, I've been asking them about it. So there's the Highlander. On top of that, there's the Grand Highlander, which is the even larger one. And we're going to get a chance to drive that hopefully soon. But yeah, I'm waiting for it to arrive. Toyota's been very good about getting cars to us quickly, and that's great. This one, I'm not sure what the delay has been, but it is on the way. Just bought a 2017 Mustang EcoBoost Premium with 45,000 kilometers. Thanks for your reviews. Hopefully you enjoy it. That's a fun car. Hi Zach, hope all is well. When are you going to review the Ford Escape? I believe it's been facelifted. Yes, I was at the place where we exchange cars yesterday looking at the Fords, and it's not in yet, but there you go. Hey Zach, do you think it's a good time to trade in a relatively new car? My buddy Nick just traded in an 8-month-old Outlander for a 2023 Mazda 3. Well, the market is starting to slow down. Nicely used cars are still sought after, and you probably, the thing is, you've got to secure the car you're going to replace it with. So if you can get a brand new car, you know, at or very close to the suggested retail price, and you can exercise a trade-in very close to what you paid for it, maybe less than a year later, it's not a bad thing to do if you think about it, because you're really only paying the difference. Now, you've got to remember there's other fees and levies and delivery fees and so on that you're going to have to pay. So you have to run the numbers. But the good news is, as the used car market has remained fairly high, and if you can get a car at MSRP, it might not be a bad idea to trade it in. But it's an individual case-by-case thing. What is the car? What are they going to offer you for your used car, and what is the car you're going to get? What is wrong with Honda? Seriously, seems like they're falling behind. They rarely give you press cars, and that's not quite true. Far behind on electrification, don't attend car shows, and all their models are the same inside. All right, I just want to tell you that they're not doing any big automotive releases for the press. That is true. They are providing the vehicles for us to drive. Sometimes it takes a while to get them. So I don't want to say that they're not doing a good job. Their electrification is taking a while, that is for sure, but they have made announcements about what they're going to be doing. Honda is partnered with General Motors using their Ultium platform to develop the Prologue. They're also going to have an Acura version. They've also partnered with Sony. They're going to be they have a concept vehicle to have an electrified vehicle that they've co-developed with Sony. So there are things in the pipe. It's just taking a while to get here. As I mentioned just a little while ago, we do now finally have a booking for the Pilot and for the Honda Accord. We would have loved to have been invited and included in a media event. They obviously don't want to invite us. That's their loss. Can't do anything about that. Richard, trying to find a hybrid anywhere. This is why people say to me, which hybrid should I buy, this one or that one? Buy the one you can get. That's what I say. You didn't mention in your video, but Honda seems to have brought back the base Civic in the US. Any news about it coming back to Canada? Yeah, I read that after we put the video up. Somebody had put a comment on there. I haven't heard that. It might just be speculation, but unless I can see it for myself on there, I just don't know what to say, other than we'll keep an eye out for it. And it wouldn't surprise me that they're going to bring a cheaper model in, because the price is really, really quite high. And that's all we do is bitch about it. So maybe they're hearing that. Here's a super chat from Kings No More. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. Limited Reach sent a super chat as well. I don't think people realize how small Honda is. Honda is a medium-sized car company. They're not as small as, say, Subaru or Mitsubishi, but they're certainly not as big as Toyota. And you're seeing this throughout the auto industry, is that car companies are finding a dance partner to share costs to develop electric vehicles. It takes huge amounts of money to develop a new car, and even more money, exponentially more money, to make it electric. So these things take time. Here's another super chat from Thomas. Trying to find a good package. Maybe Toyota Camry all-wheel drive. Your thoughts? As I mentioned earlier, if you're just coming in now, Toyota's anniversary for the Camry, 40 years, is this year. So if you're not in a rush, you might want to wait and see if there's going to be... Oh, I can feel it. If there's going to be something new coming from them. So if you're not in a rush, if your car is still running, keep driving it and stay tuned here, because any information we get on that will definitely pass that along. Okay, now I really do have to blow my nose. I apologize. We got through it. No coughing, no blowing nose, but you guys lived through this with me and my cold. I apologize for not feeling 100%. And thank you guys for all the super chats. Like, blow me away again with that. And we have over 500 people on board, 270 thumbs up. As I mentioned, if you're just tuning in now, next Sunday we're on the road. Will not be a live show, but the week after that we'll definitely be doing it. So have a great evening, the rest of your weekend, and we'll chat with you soon. Bye now.